Hi. Everybody can hear me? I guess this presentation is last for the best, as they say. Though we have a house full and I'm super excited, so let's rock and roll. So this is me, as you can see, always smiling and happy. And that's my colleague, Stan. Stan, you want to introduce yourself very quickly?
Hello, everybody. My name is Stan, and I'm a French guy. You can see with my beautiful English accent. And I will be pleased to present you what we do in OT cybersecurity, focus on critical infrastructure.
And that's me, Denrich. I have 26 years of experience purely in automation or OT world, as you like to call. An old man, somebody calls me. So yeah, old but wise, as we all say. So today we have only 15 minutes. In 15 minutes, I got to talk about standards. So I'll give the best 7 minutes because I've got another colleague speaking for the next 8 minutes. All right? So it's a refresher on 62443-3-3. So it's a big standard. It's an OT standard. And I like to walk and talk. I don't like to restrict myself, though OT world is very restrictive. Yeah? So 62443-3, this standard has many parts to it. So today we are going to talk about one piece, and that piece is how you guys can transfer data safely from a network which is not critical. It could be IT environment or any non-critical environment to safely from an OT environment to a non-critical environment. In this case, it could be IT. So this is the beautiful standard, and I'm not going to scare you, bore you with this, but very quickly, 62443 is a standard which is mostly used for the process industry. It could be also used for your utilities. Process covers everything from your oil and gas to refineries to petrochemical. This is also used for your food and beverage and pharmaceutical industries as well. So this has 4 parts, as you can see. And as I have only 7 minutes, I'm going to skip the 4-part definition because we'll come to the meat of today's topic. And it has 14 sections inside of it. As you can see, OT security standard is still evolving. Every standard is not fully developed. If you can see, I don't have a pointer here. If you can see this part, that is already done but is under review. Some parts are still under planning as well. And some parts are still being written as we speak about it. Okay, so today's topic is about systems, and I'm going to talk mostly, me and my colleague will talk about 62443-3-3, okay? Little bit one step back as well. So these standards are applicable to certain roles, okay? So the first 2 parts mostly are for the asset owner. So you will ask me, what is an asset owner? Asset owner is your oil and gas company, your fertilizer plant, your refineries. That's your asset owner. Then some parts are also important for the service suppliers for these asset owners. For example, part 3 predominantly. So part 3, what does part 3 holds? The part 3 holds is about risk management. So part 3-2 talks about how are you going to do a risk assessment on that particular facility. Okay, so that part talks about that. It also talks about security level. And we'll talk a little bit about what security level means. Then the final part, what we will be discussing today is 3-3. It talks about how can you make your control systems, your assets more safe. So it has something called as foundational requirements. So there's 7 different foundational requirements, but we will talk about one part of it, that is 5-1. So today, as I mentioned, we're going to talk a little bit more on the third part, which is the system part, mostly used by the system integrator or the maintenance guys. So 3-1 is nothing but a technical report which talks about different technologies, what you can use to protect your assets in an OT environment. 3-2 of the standard gives you guidelines to perform cybersecurity risk assessment. It also allocates zones and contents. If you don't know what is zones and contents, we'll talk about in the next slide. And then cyber requirement specification. This is very important. In 7 minutes, I just cannot explain what CSR is. And finally, we'll talk about 3-3, how data transfer from your OT environment, which should be secured. Do anybody knows what is air-gapped? The best protection is air-gapped. Air-gap means not connected. Not connected, connected means hacked, not connected safe. That's the best strategy. But anyways, we still have to transfer data from this OT environment to an IT environment, and my colleague here will talk right about that. There is some impact factors. The first 3 is your triad, the CIA triad, and then you have the next 4 pieces, which we will focus today on restricted data flow or confidential data flow or critical data flow. Next, I talked about there is something called as the security level. So what is the security level? So in any system, when you want to transfer data, or if you have zones, you create zones and conduits. So you have to apply certain security level. SL1 is the lowest level, and SL4 is the highest level. So what does that mean? That means for some of your critical assets or some of the asset which is not so critical, you can put these levels of protection. That means, for example, you have an asset which is not so critical. You don't want to spend so much millions of dollars to protecting that asset. So you do an safety analysis. Based on that analysis, you classify your safety ranking or the security level. And based on that security level, you give this ranking. So SL1, as the standard defines, is protection from casual or coincidental violation or attack or incident. SL2, protection against intentional violation using simple means, low resources, or low motivation. Okay? That means the requirement or the level of controls you need to defend this is less than what you need to defend an SL3 or an SL4. That is in principle. Clear? SL3 is protection against intentional violation using sophisticated means, but these attackers have moderate resources, but they do have IACS skills. What is IACS? It's nothing but industrial control, industrial automation control system. That means knowledge of PLCs, HMIs, and other technologies used in the OT side. SL4 is your highest level of protection. That means it will be more stringent. Possibly in your mind, let's say nuclear, for a nuclear installation. Yeah? So you will have, here they will use, it could also be a nation-state actor. The best example I can give you, attack on a nuclear refinery by nation-state actors could be countries which didn't want this country to have nuclear capabilities. So possibly for those reasons, we can. Then, as I mentioned, there are foundational requirements in 3-3 of the standards. These are the 7 foundational requirements, and my colleague will speak on FR5, FR5. That is, how do you protect or how do you transfer critical data safely into a non-critical environment. This is a very high-level Purdue model. Here you see the plant. Of course, the level 1 is the sensors, which is not shown here. So these are different areas of the plant, and different technologies are there in the plant. Oh, I've got 5 minutes, so yeah. So let's go to the restricted data flow. This is exactly what is there in the standards. How do you protect your data flow from certain zones or conduits? So there are 3 high level. That is network segmentation, you guys must already know. Zones and boundary protection, and general purpose person-to-person restriction and application partition. From here, I will give this mic to my dear colleague Stan.
Yes, thank you. Thank you very much, Denrich. So Denrich explained you these international norms, which is ISA-62443. It is maybe the best standard for OT cybersecurity. It is not perfect, but it's quite good today for OT cybersecurity. And part of that IEC 62443, there is effectively different level, and we are more focusing on our side on what we call restricted data flow. And restricted data flow, that means that you have a zone and conduit on your architecture, and you have to manage the fact that you need to send data in real time between OT and IT part. There is different way to send data, not air gap. It's not anymore possible. You have to send data. You need a communication. The first one, as most of the company, you are using firewalls. You need firewalls, clearly. All the company need firewalls, but firewalls, it's bidirectional. There is software, there is logic, there is configuration, there is vulnerabilities. So if you want 100% to be secure, it's not the best solution. There is today another technology named two-way gateway, which is cross-domain. It is technology that allow you to communicate bidirectionally, like firewall. It's based on hardware, and you put algorithm on it. It's quite good. It's better than a firewall, but it's not 100%. And for some part of your architecture, the only solution that today it's 100% secure to transfer in real-time data, it's named data diode. Do you know, have you heard about data diode already? A data diode, it's a pure hardware that was initially developed for military purpose. This hardware will allow you to send data only one way. It's a unidirectional solution. So you can send data one way. It's physically impossible to penetrate the network. So the advantage, you are 100% secure. The disadvantage, you cannot communicate bidirectionally. So today, data diode, it's more and more used in critical infrastructure. Our main customer are petrol, gas, nuclear, military people also, chemical company. And it is a solution that we are providing when you need to secure some segment of your architecture. So I will go quickly on 2 use cases because the time is short. Honeywell PhD, it's an historian that you implement in your OT part. And it's exactly what we show here. You have the PhD, so it's a software to get the data. You have the historian. Then you will put a physical layer, the data diode, that will take the data from here to push one way to organize here in the IT part. In that case, the engineer was able to send 400,000 files in 1 second through the data diode. The problem that he sent the file only in one document that was too heavy. That's why we put that picture, do not blame the monkey. It's not because you put too much data here that the monkey will be able to work down. So here the data diode was able to send the data. The main problem in that case was the factory test was not done before the use case. And the second use case, and after it will be in 2 minutes, okay. Second use case, it's for OSIsoft Pi, which is another historian. Pi to Pi, it's belonging to Aveva. Aveva, it's belonging to Schneider Electric. And we have a strong partnership with them. So the idea here was to explain how we can put 3 firewall in the OT part, 3 firewall in the IT part. Instead of doing that, we put 3 firewall on one side, 1 data diode with a replication Pi-to-Pi software, and you will need less Pi license on the IT part. So it's a bit technical maybe, sorry. But I will not go too much in details on that part. Okay, today that we are able to support many application and industrial application, IT, OT, and OT part, from Historian, OSIsoft Pi, OPC UA. It's industrial protocols. Again, if you have an interest, we can talk later about that. That's all. Thank you. Thank you very much.